Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today I want to talk to you and show you all a bit of Warlock, Destro, Demo, Affliction in patch 10.1.5 PTR, damage-wise. Now, my guild killed Mythic Echo of Neltharion last night. I actually got the Mythic Clash Trinket, didn't have it at all before, so this video can also have Clash Trinket testing for Destro with Crashing Chaos in AoE and single target. Like always, week course add-ons, links down below, Twitch and Discord, all for free for you guys. To a similar extent, Twitter, other social media links appear, as well as Patreon, if you want to support there, which I appreciate a million times. I also have links to Warcraft logs down below for some personal logs. This is testing from a few days ago, not with Clash Trinket, but nonetheless, it was testing from PTR, because details from what I've seen, unless they fixed it recently, is broken on PTR. So let's get into it. So when it comes to destruction, the spec likely everybody wants to see because it has Crashing Chaos, hopefully 2-minute Infernal back, hopefully in single target as well as AoE. This is what looks like this is what the single target Destro build currently is on retail. Now keep in mind, Crashing Chaos is now empowering 8 Chaos Bolts or 8 Random Fires, 25 or 50 at rank 2, 35 and 70 at rank 2 as well. And that means that essentially you have a relevant talent to play, which gets you access to Grand Warlock's design. The problem is that, well, I don't say the problem, but the thing is that there are a lot of good points in Destro's tree here that you sort of want access to, right? You've got Avatar, Ritual, Burned Ashes, Embers, Madness, and certain, Chaos Incarnate plus Infernal. But if you're looking at building a build around Crashing Chaos, it starts here with Crashing Chaos. You want Madness, so you're probably putting a point in Ritual. Now, the build I played initially was something like this, where you just had Madness, Double Burn, Avatar, and it was like just, hey, 2-minute Infernal's big, you have Burn outside of that, and Madness to sustain. I talked to some people, THG as well, and he brought up a point about playing a build like this, I believe. I think he was talking about this, maybe? He might have said this, this one here, I'm not sure. But either way, if you forego playing Avatar and put 1 point in Burn for some Incinerate damage, some sustain, you still get full Infernal with Crashing and Grand Warlocks. You get Diabolic Embers, Madness, Incarnate, as well as Ritual, which is fine-ish, but it gets you a point in Burned Ashes as well, right? It'll be a sim thing in the long run if Crashing Chaos is even worthwhile, but it looks to be pretty strong. And as far as Avatar is concerned, while it is good in AoE, in single target and things, it's not necessarily as strong. The Shard Gen's nice and all that kind of stuff, but I think we're going to start here at this build and see where it goes. Now, I am playing Clash Trinket. We did indeed kill Echo tonight, and I got a Mythic one, which is sick. I haven't had one until then. We're also playing a Spoils of Neltharion. Now, there is some RNG to this, depending what you roll with it. Verse, Mastery, Crit, Haste. I don't know what this even is, but Crit, sure. So that'll vary a little bit. But I think if you're playing a 2-minute Infernal build, you likely want to have a 2-minute Trinket to pair with every Infernal. So I also do want to mention that Details is currently bugged on PTR. I can't click the actual damage to open up the damage report. I'm sorry, but for the most part, we can see the top few abilities, and that's mostly what matters for the most part. Keep in mind as well that I am playing Clash Trinket, but I will not have any stacks when we first pull the actual thing here, but we'll do it again at 2 minutes or cycle through and see where it goes. So, all right, normal Destro opener. I'll hold the pot for second Infernal, I guess, because we'll have Trinket stacked towards then. Sure, let's do it. All right, precast Incinerate into Immolate, hook my Infernal down, Trinket, Conflagrate, launch a CDF here. Berserking, why not? Launch some bolts. So first bolt is 200k, second bolt is 280k. Big increase there. 280k, 282. That's pretty big. I mean, keep in mind, we are indeed playing Chaos Incarnate with this build, so you're getting your max mastery value every single time. Those bolts are hitting pretty hard. That's without a potion. That's easy 300k if you potion that, and also with no Clash Trinket stacks. So now there's two things you want to keep an eye on here. Number one is going to be my raw Infernal cooldown, which is right here, as well as my time in combat on this damage meter, which is right here. From what I've seen in testing, and my own testing, I guess, like, a few days ago, they sync very well. You basically have 2-minute Infernal. They also lag on PTR. Sorry. But you basically have 2-minute Infernal in single targets every time. Now, the one other thing here is that Burned Ashes is being played, but we're only playing 1 talent point and not 2. So you can see Incinerate is roughly around 20-ish% of our damage. It's still hitting, I'd assume, relatively hard. About 80. Let's see if we can catch an Incinerate here, actually, and see how hard it hits. Incinerate here, hitting for about 62k. Not too bad. Not hitting for 120k, but it does indeed feel like it's more Chaos Bolt Destro based in a sense. Once again, Incinerate is climbing a bit more here, but keep in mind, your Chaos Bolts that are behind your Infernal, those are the ones that actually crush. Now, I don't have Weak War for my Clash Trinket on here, unfortunately. I didn't pull it over from retail, but I have 4 stacks here currently. Hopefully we can build some more before next Infernal. Having a 10 stack could be sick. Sort of unlikely here, but even 5 stacks should be enough for some pretty big bolts. Also looking at our Infernal timer here, we have 20 seconds left on our Infernal, and we've been in combat for 1:50. So you're looking at pretty much, like we said, basically, almost exactly, it's going to be a 2-minute Infernal. We're going to hold for our Trinket here, which is up right about now. Build some shards, cast this, put our Infernal down, potion, Clash Trinket is up. We have a huge int buff, Chaos Bolts, 318k, Chaos Bolts, 410k. It'd be more if I actually had CDF before it, but I got too excited. I mean, CDF here. You can see where it's going to go. Like, our Trinket is fallen by now, being our Clash Trinket, but if you're able to have that Clash Trinket stack to max and be able to be at like 4 shards with a CDF ready to go into your Infernal, chances are likely you hold the CDF to line up with your Infernal or vice versa. But if you pair, I mean, Clash Trinket with spoils, whatever other trinkets you have, CDF, your 2-piece, your 4-piece bonus, and just go and launch 1,000,000 bolts, you're going to easily hit a 500,000 bolts. That was a 5 stack of the Clash Trinket. Imagine, I mean, 5 stacks is like what? 5.5k intellect. Imagine 11k intellect when it fully stacks to 10. You can see how hard these bolts are going to hit. We're sustaining 124k here too, which is not bad. Bolt being 30% of our damage, Incinerate 21, Immolate 10, CDF, Fel Barrage, everything else being where it's at. 2-minute Destro looks pretty insane. The Clash Trinket might only last 10 seconds, but once again, if you can store up all your damage in a CDF and your trinkets, whatever, what have you, and just launch 1,000,000 bolts when that thing comes down, those bolts are going to crush. Let's look at it briefly in AoE. When it comes to Destro and AoE, this is the build where I'm probably going to start, I'd say, and it is a bit more lacking when it comes to the single target department, looking from, you know, the single target build, but you're missing Embers, you're missing Chaos Incarnate, but you still have Madness, still have, not this build, by the way, you want to play this instead. You still have Madness, still have your Purple Infernal, Avatar Ritual with the CD, I guess the shard cost reduction, whatever you want to call it, plus Infernal, plus Crashing Chaos, plus Grand Warlock's design with obviously Rain of Fire, Inferno, and all that. Now you have indeed pulled a point from EP as well to get this here. So you're basically not playing Embers, you're not playing Chaos Incarnate, not playing your point in Power Overwhelming, but you're playing 1, 2, 3. So it basically 1, 2, 3, go 1, 2, 3 now, and everything else is essentially the same here. Now when it comes to AoE, I guess, I mean, Destro's strong in mass sustained AoE, which, I mean, this, you know, is not necessarily the case, being 4 targets, but it still is pretty impressive. And I want you to, once again, watch the CDR on Infernal between, well, look at how long each Infernal cooldown is, because it's not very long. Spoilers ahead. Plater is broken. I'm sorry. These nameplates are terrible. I'll do my best. So we're going in here and put up some Immolates, tanks running in, doing whatever. Put up some Immolates on these mobs. Tanks running in. I'll stuff with the Infernal down, Trinket, whatever you want. Could throw a Rain of Fire, whatever. I'll CDF, Havoc, Conflict Rate, and begin spamming the Rain of Fires. And watch the CDR begin to fly off our Infernal here. Now keep in mind, a big thing here, we are indeed playing with essentially permanent flashpoint here, because these mobs really shouldn't drop below 80%, but our damage is ramping. It is literally raining Hellfire and Brimstone, and the cool thing here as well is that we are indeed playing Raging Demon Fire with this build, so it basically keeps your Immolates extended for a very long period of time. I've cast 1 Immolate on every mob here. I just cast a CDF, and they are sitting at 17 seconds still, so this build can certainly get a lot of CDF plus Raging Demon Fire value. Also, having the 4-piece bonus, giving you more damage instead of a Rain of Fire window, and all that kind of stuff, right? It might be a bit unfortunate casting CDF in AoE. I get it. I understand. It feels a bit awkward, but, you know, it's just the world we live in. Look at my Infernal here, by the way. I've been in combat for a solid minute, and my Infernal is up in about 27 seconds here, which is going to be a lot less than that in a second once I get this Havoc going. Once again, cast CDF here, get our Immolates extended again. Cast a couple Rain of Fires here. 1 Rain of Fire, another Rain of Fire here. Some of our Immolates fell. That's okay, because our Infernal's also now falling here at the minute 20 mark. So it means that you're going to have Infernals quite often in these higher end, I guess heavy sustained AoE settings. And the cool thing here is when it comes to Destro, 2-minute Infernal and 3-minute Infernal just feel like different specs. It literally feels like a different game, right? It feels so much better having the option to hit your Infernal at 2, or I guess 130, whatever, comparatively to 3. Once again, keep in mind, we won't have this level of haste. We won't have permanent flashpoint here. You won't be in combat for, a solid 2 minutes straight. But either way, Wilfred's or Grand Warlock's design in Crashing Chaos Destro looks to possibly be pretty strong. We'll see where it goes, but if you're a fan of spamming random fires, well, it may be back. So when it comes to single target Affliction stuff, if you played Affliction over the course of 10.1, this is basically, it actually is, the exact same build that we played for 10.1. There are two builds, technically, this one being the Haunted Soul build, the other build being the Malevolent Visionary build, which plays 2 points here, 1 point here. We are playing Haunted Soul for its most, it is the most universally applicable build, I'd say, when it comes to general AF single target stuff. The big change is Xavius' Gambit has replaced Malefic Affliction, a flat 30% damage increase to Unstable Affliction. They also buffed UA by 10%, basically making it a wash, because MA was 39, this is now 30 plus 10. Depending how it stacks, could even be a buff. On top of that, Dread Touch is the same, toolset-wise, but it only takes 1 Rapture to now trigger Dread Touch, down from 4, essentially, on pull. It makes AF just so much better when it comes to quality of life, just ease of play, nowhere near as punishing if you die or your UA falls. It also makes Soul Swap more, applicable in a lot of settings where you don't have to juggle MA stacks anymore. It just feels so much better. It feels like what AF should have been on launch. So very solid changes here, legit. Feels very good. Getting into it briefly here, so we're going to hit this thing, precast a UA into a Haunt, or precast a Haunt into a UA, I should say. Haunt, UA, Agony, I don't know what this is, Corruption, Siphon Life. We're going to drain the 3 stacks here. Going to go Vile Taint, we're going to Trinket, we're going to Dark Glare and Rapture, and watch the 1 Rapture. There's Dread Touch. It feels so good being able to just Rapture 1 time and see Dread Touch active on your screen. I can't put it into words how good it actually feels. There's none of this weird just like rapturing 4 times, hoping to get a shard refund in your opener because you're playing Vile Taint to get Dread Touch rolling early. It gives you just a much better, a better burst profile in a sense, just a more consistent profile, I should say. It just feels really, really good. And the cool thing about AF is, like, sort of similar to Destro, it has a very solid just sustain profile, which is not, the case for Demonology. You can sustain a pretty solid, just relatively flat line of damage playing the Haunted Soul build here, and at the same time, like I mentioned before, it's nowhere near as punishing if your UA falls for whatever reason. Whether you move your UA, whether you die, it just falls due to whatever happening. Literally, if UA falls, all you have to do, put it up again, Rapture 1 time, and all of your dot damage increase from Dread Touch is back rolling without any problems. It feels really good. It's just a lot of fun to play with. You can see we're sustaining 120k here. We've been at 120k for about a minute now, give or take. We have Dark Glare in 45. We'll keep going here for a little bit. Gonna cast a Vile Taint here. Probably drop off a little bit here just due to pooling shards in a second or so for Dark Glare. But overall, like I said, this build sustains a lot of damage. It's actually relatively close to what Destro was doing. We didn't even pot here either. But at the same time, Clash Trinket and things do factor in a bit. And if that's the case, if you are playing Clash Trinket, the Malevolent Visionary build of AF is also a solid choice, albeit it's a lot more bursty, a lot more up and down damage profile compared to just being a flat one. But both builds are good. Both builds look competitive. And yeah, let's wait for our Dark Glare to come back around here. Why not? We have, how many stacks of Trinket do we have? We have 6 stacks. Sure. Why not? Not 10, but hey, you win some, you lose some. We're waiting on our Vile Taint here. We did cast it on cooldown, waiting like 7-8 seconds here, no big deal. Catch the Agony again, we'll Rapture one more time here. It did fall, but no big deal. Hoping for a double stack here, there we go, perfect. We will indeed cast this Vile Taint. I'll cast Corruption, why not, Dark Glare, and begin Rapturing. 110k, 112, see if we can climb to here. This is like 8 stacks of Clash Trinkets. We've climbed about 10k, roughly, give or take. 17, 18k. You can see, though, this damage profile, flat, but in a good way. You're sustaining a lot of damage. Like I said before, AF is not that far behind Destro or Demo when it comes to raw damage on retail right now. And the quality life changes here are huge. Main damage source being Rapture 18, followed by UA at 16, Agony at 13, Drain Soul, all that kind of stuff. Honestly, like I said, whether it's, it's in single target, but also an AoE in a minute here. I think Affliction is being slept on with all the big Destro changes, Crashing Chaos, and the Demo changes as well. AF is sort of flown under the radar, but these changes are huge quality life changes, and honestly, like I said, Af's already in a pretty good spot. Let's look at some AoE. So when it comes to Affliction in AoE, this is the build I'm testing here. It's sort of, you can put this point in Wrath, I guess in Crescendo, wherever you want. There's a few points you can put in different places. The thing is, keep in mind here, we are indeed playing full Dark Lair, Grim Reach. We are indeed playing Creeping Death plus Xavius' Gambit and Doom Blossom. Doom Blossom has changed to now do damage whenever seed hits a target that has UA on it. It's actually pretty impressive. We'll see it here in a minute. And when it comes to, I guess, everything else here, we are playing Soul Flame, but no mobs are dying here, so keep in mind that that's an added bonus if you're in plus and things like that. Now, honestly, we're still playing Siphon, still playing Vile Taint. Not a whole lot's really changed here from the way that AF has functioned for a while in M+. I mean, Doom Blossom is better. There's no Malefic Affliction around. Seed of Corruption's cast time is shorter, so things have changed rotationally. It feels pretty similar, but a little better because Seed's cast time is faster. So, same as before. So the tank's running in, all that kind of stuff. Precast Seed, go into a Vile Taint, go into a UA here, go into Siphon Life here, because this is indeed a Grim Reach build, or Potion, Trinket, do whatever. Pop Dark Lair, look at the Seed cast time. Just start launching some big damage here. Big damage, big damage. I think I had Clash Trinket stacks somewhere, maybe. But the big thing here, I don't know what this is. Don't worry about it. Some add-ons broken. The Seed cast time feels really good when you're playing this build. The 1.5 second cast time, 2 seconds baseline, but 1.5 with it being a hasted spell and everything else, feels really good. It is really fun to mess with. And I've even noticed that when it comes to testing, like playing Seed of Corruption with the reduced cast time, initially I was playing a Soul Rot, Soul Eater's Gluttony, Grim Dark Harvest build with the additional like crit haste reduction on it. I felt like I really didn't need it. I don't think that row is incredibly powerful on its own, and with Seed's cast time being short enough, it sort of felt like, you know what, I don't really need this ability anymore. I don't need to sort of feel like I don't feel like I need to sort of play this row, if that makes sense. This row, this build still brings good damage when it comes to a single target because you have Dark Lair, you have a level of Visionary, you're still playing Creeping Death, you're still playing Xavius' Gambit for UA damage. But it brings these fast seed casts. It brings consistent, I guess, consistent-esque damage when it comes to AoE in every trash pack. And the cool thing, look at the breakdown here. Look at Doom Blossom doing 15% of your damage. So you've got Seed being 27.7, Doom Blossom being 15.4 in a 4-target setting, followed by Agony, Grim Reach from your Dark Lair. And keep in mind, Grim Reach is separate from I-Beam damage. So Grim Reach is doing its own damage here. So once again, this will also be a bit of a single target increase. This build feels really good, and the sustain AoE with this build is very impressive. Now, I am playing Clash Trinket. There might have some stacks active when I pulled it. I don't really know. No big deal either way. But the big thing here, I think Demo's gotten some big changes. So is Destro. They both look good. I think people are sleeping on Affliction a lot because these changes to Xavius' Gambit, or Malefic Affliction now becoming Xavius' Gambit, the changes to Doom Blossom, Dread Touch and single target being easier to just maintain with just one Rapture cast, not 3 or 4, the Seed cast time reduction, and everything else that AF has. AF is good right now on retail. It's not as good as Destro or Demo, but it's not that far off. With these changes, AF is likely the biggest, best, most gaining spec, if not very close to Destro, but it's gained a lot and it's flying under the radar so far, in my opinion, in 10.15. So when it comes to Demonology, patch 10.15 in single target, this is the build I've been playing. There really is not a whole lot of much different. It's the same thing as retail. Not much has really changed here. Memes aside, so we are playing some new talents. We're playing Imperator, whatever that is. Grim or Dread Calling, Grim Inquisitors is 2 talents here. It's at this point in the tree instead of being over here. I'm not sure if it's better just to play this or play Cavitation, because both will indeed connect to Antoran Armaments, which you want most likely. Heavy Handed is a new talent as well, as alongside Malefic Impact and things. The odd part is that if you're not playing Houndmaster Stratagem, which you're not in this build here, if you're playing a Sack Souls build, you probably do, but if you're not playing Sack Souls, you're not playing this, you can't really get Heavy Handed. But outside of that, Imperator and things, they have indeed added some traits in for just throughput, passive damage to help with Demonology sustain, because its sustain is actually pretty bad, as we know, in single target playing the Nether Portal Pitlore build, which is this build here. They've also buffed a handful of spells. They buffed Hand of Gul'dan. I believe they buffed Dogs to compensate for the 3rd dog nerf. They buffed Implosion as well in the last build, which is not part of our single target rotation. But point being, they're buffing abilities that we cast relatively often to help with our sustain outside of major CDs. Now, tuning is still going to come for Demonology. I haven't tested Demo here past half a minute to see where it's actually at damage-wise or anything. It's going to burst very high, like it does on retail, unsurprisingly, with Pit Lord, Nether Portal, Ray of Tyranny, and all that. But I want to see where it's at sustain-wise at the, I don't know, later on into the poll here. Because as you know, we burst to the high heavens on poll, and then we do less than tank damage outside of our CDs, with a Tyrant being in there every minute and a half or so to maybe pump it up a little bit. So, getting into it here, we're going to wait on my potion and my imp to spawn here. One imp, we should be good to go. There he is. All right, cool pet on this. Let's siphon here. So we're going to cast 2 Shadow Bolts and do the regular Nether Portal opener. Double Shadow Bolt, Nether Portal, Soul Burn, Grimoire, Biofeem. We got a dog proc, cast dogs. We can go hand, bolt, hand, bolt, hand. We're going to Trinket, Potion. We're going to Tyrant, go hand, hand, and Demonic Strength. No time for another hand there. And watch our damage spike. So where's the Pit Lord? He's in there. Maybe he'll grunt for us. Maybe not. That's okay. 220, 230, probably 250 here with dogs. 260 basically with dogs being cast there again. 2 shard hands bad, but that's okay. The big thing here, once again, I'm sorry for the add-on coverage here. It's PTR, everything's broken. The burst is certainly higher than what Destro can do. It's much higher than what Aff can do playing the Haunted Soul build. If I had to order it, it'd be, I mean, Demonology number 1, followed by Destruction number 2, burst-wise, and Affliction number 3. Like we said with Affliction, Aff can sustain a lot of damage. It stays at that 110-ish DPS mark, depending on your gearing and things. Demonology cannot do that. We're at 170k here, roughly, but the longer this fight goes, in between cooldowns, we'll drop a good bit. We're dropping a good bit. We're at 160k, sub 160 here. Blizzard is making an attempt to increase our sustain damage outside cooldowns, and they've mentioned that tuning has not really happened yet, or there's more tuning to come for Demonology last week, and we got some changes this week. So we'll see what next week's build holds. But at this point, Demonology is still in a bit of an awkward spot overall. I'm going to siphon here. I'm probably going to hold these dogs for Tyrant setup. Bit awkward. Maybe we should cast them. Hard to say. Bit of an awkward lineup here. We're going to do this. Praying for a Demonic Knowledge refund. Didn't get one, but you win some, you lose some. We're going to Grimoire. We're going to cast Shadow Bolt. We're going to go Vile Fiend here. We're going to Shadow Bolt again. We're going to cast Dogs. There's a refund there from Demonic Knowledge, I believe. And set up our Tyrant. Sitting at 126k here. A bit of a late Tyrant, but this is what it is. Not the end of the world. Launch that. Extend all our pets here. We're at 123k and see what we can climb to here. 126, 127, 132. That proc there. 134, 135. So we're still ahead of where Affliction was at this point, being around 120. I think Destro was right around 130-ish with odd pot timings and things at this point too. But we're at 130 here. We have a minute, basically a minute and a half, or about a minute 15 until our Nether Portal comes back around. And that's where our big damage lies. So we'll keep going here. Cast our dogs. Cast Vile Fiend. I'm going to siphon. At 130k roughly. Keep in mind you can fit in a Vile Fiend between every single cast, or every single Tyrant cast here if you're playing Ray of Tyranny, because it's a minute and a half versus 45. 128, 127. Now, I know I have Portal in about 14, but I have Tyrant in about 35. So we have to plan around both CDs there and have Grimoire, have Vile Fiend, have everything lined up at the same time. Grimoire has indeed surpassed Tyrant already, so that's good. Obviously, we're set up there cooldown-wise. I'm going to siphon here, cast a few more bolts. We should get some procs coming in from this next dog set. I'm going to cast this dog set here, being our last dog set. We're at 117k, which is about the same as Aff, lower than Destro roughly, but give or take, you know, once again, sustain and all that. We have dog procs coming in now. We can basically portal now and start the setup. Soulburn, Grimoire, Vile Fiend. We're going to bolt here. I'm going to go one hand because we have dog proc here. One hand, dogs, hand to Gul'dan. We can demon bolt again. Go hand to Gul'dan. We can trinket, Tyrant, hand. We're sitting at 113k and we Tyrant here with Nether Portal, all the above. And we'll climb here. 123, 124, 127. Probably about 140, I'd say, peak-wise. Well, we're hard casting a bolt, but sure. Still 140k. So you can see how, once again, Demo, these big peaks and valleys, damage-wise, all that. Our main damage spells being Firebolt from our Imps by a large amount, followed by Demon Fire from our Tyrant. Then Pit Lord melee, Dreadstalkers, all that. But now we're waiting again another minute until our tyrant comes back around, and we're sitting at 130k. But if you go back a minute ago, you'll see how far we drop off in between CDs. So Demo's profile is still there. Destro still, well, I guess, has Crashing Chaos, Grand Warlock's design stuff, and Aff is decent in sustain. But overall, I mean, Demo and single target still feels like Demo. And finally, we have Demonology in AoE. This is the typical AoE build that I play in retail and things. Honestly, this is the general plus build with Ray of Tyranny, Guillotine, all that kind of stuff here. We are indeed playing heavy-handed here. We are playing Houndmaster Stratagem. We're playing 1 point in Malefic Impact, Implosion, all that kind of stuff here. Dreadlash, no Vile Fiend, no Imperator, whatever. It's once again a similar build to retail with a few new talents in here. No Demonic Meteor, that's been removed obviously, but this is sort of close. Now, this build I felt is in a pretty good spot universally, whether it's tyrannical or fortified, with good single target. I think Guillotine's just good for our sustain outside of, you know, CDs in general, trash pulls and all that. Yeah, I don't know, let's just get into it and see what happens. We're gonna Siphon here. Let's do it to it. So head on in, big dog. There you go. Get in there. We're gonna Grimoire. So we're pulling the pack now. We're gonna cast a dog proc. Hand of Gul'dan, Demon Bolts. I'll just hand here. It's fine, no big deal. I'm gonna Trinket here. Tyrant, get a Demonic Strength. Wait for that to expire. Cast a couple hands here. Go into an actual, probably should pot that. Go into actual Guillotine cast here. All this. Building as many imps as possible here. We are indeed playing Clash Trinket, but I don't think I had any stacks here. Casting our dogs. One more Shadowbolt cast here. Waiting to implode. And now imploding. 10 Imp Gang bosses. And look, we have 10 imps back again. Very exciting gameplay. Demo, obviously, very good at having a lot of bursts. We potted that too. With imps, all that. We're going to implode here again to let lose our imps. And I mean, once again, it's just Demo. Tried and true. Not much changes. Having Demonic Knowledge around. Losing third dog. Yes, unfortunate. All the above. I get it. I don't disagree. But at the same time, having Demonic Knowledge around, like, if you give me an option of having one of the two, whether it's third dog or Demonic Knowledge, third dog, thematically, I think it's very cool. It makes a lot of sense for the spec, all the above, Master of Summons, Master Demons, all that kind of stuff. But I think having Demonic Knowledge around is more important for the spec as a whole. Having that fluidity of these random Demon Bolt procs here and there, again, Demonic Strength on cooldown, giving you just that mobility in a sense of being able to have multiple demonic core stacks when you're moving in certain spots if need be, all that. It feels good. It still feels, Demonology is still Demonology. I know third dog is gone, it feels bad, but honestly, after playing it for a while in AoE and things, it really doesn't feel as bad as you think it may be. Now when it comes to overall sustain here, it's hard to compare it to Destro because Destro had permanent flashpoint and like permanent targets here, but we are indeed building into a Tyrant here. So we're going to do this. We're going to cast dogs here. A couple Hand of Gul'dan cycles, all that. Just barely dipping below 200k here, but with this Tyrant setup, we'll go right past that again. Praying for good Imp King boss refunds. Guillotining here. Some hand cycling. Got 10 seconds on Tyrant here. This is also a big Clash Trinket stack. We have we're going to implode now, see what we can do. Jump 6k. Should typically hold for your Tyrant to expire, but hey, we had Clash Trinket rolling. I think a 7 stack there on Clash Trinket, and we're back at 215k, roughly. Demonology, unlike Destruction, brings I guess a bit of a faster damage profile, with Tyrant being 1.5 minutes versus Infernal being 2-ish. Once again, more prior damage at times, I guess, depending on what build you're playing also. It feels good. The sustain at AoE is sort of similar to Destro, pretty similar. Different damage profiles, CD cycling and all that. But to get to the bottom of it, Demonology still feels like Demonology, excluding the third dog. Demonic Core still feel the same. Tyrant setup still feels the same. Cooldown still feel the same. And if you're wondering about Demonic Strength versus Bioscorch Bombers, the breakdown here is Implosion, Dreadbite, Fellstorm, Hand of Gul'dan, Fell Explosion, Fell Firebolt, Fellstorm also being Demonic Strength and all that lumped in there. Implosion was buffed when it comes to raw passive damage as well. We played with Bombers. Bombers, unfortunately, was not as strong as Demonic Strength. It looks to be behind by a little bit. Once again, Blizzard did say tuning is coming. So depending on if tuning is coming, Bioscorch Bombers, costing no shards and being a half-minute cooldown, could quite possibly be an angle, depending on where it all goes. Honestly, Bombers is sick. I love Bombers. So if it works out, sounds good to me. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully I answered the questions you might have had about Warlock, all 3 specs, heading into patch 10.1.5 PTR. I can sort of talk tonight. Like I said, I'm impressed with Destro and Crashing Chaos and 2-minute Trinket. Gotta wait and see where Sims are, but the fact of the matter is, having that Trinket buff be basically empowering your Chaos Bolts, like a lot of them when you launch them with Infernal, and stacking it maybe with Iridius Fragment, or probably like Swirls and Atheris, being honest, because, 2-minute Trinket and things, right? 2-minute Infernal. But either way, it looks strong. At the same time, Demo, still looking pretty solid. It still feels like Demo at its core with Demonic Knowledge being around. And Affliction, Seed build, and even non-Malefic Affliction AF, like just basic, changes to Dread Touch. UA up, casting Rapture once, giving you Dread Touch feels really good. So I think Warlock's moving towards a better spot than it is now currently in 10.1, and we're already in an okay spot. So hopefully by 10.2, we will have Grand Warlock's design in the class tree, but we'll see where that goes. So like always, week wars are announced down below. Twitch and Discord links for free if you guys want them all down there. At the same time, I want to give one huge shout out to my patrons for the end of the video. Guys, for all support on Patreon, thank you a million times. Like always, I really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below. People have been asking a lot about when is PTR going out, or just coming out? When is it happening? I would assume, with it being June 5th, we're likely seeing it in a month, 5-ish weeks, give or take, 5-6 weeks. I could be wrong. At least a month. I don't think it'll be this week or this month. There's still tuning to be done for Demo. I'd assume Destro and AF tuning maybe as well. Plus, other classes haven't got anything yet, and I assume there's some classes. I know some classes out there that could get some changes. So we'll see where it goes. Hopefully more to come, and if anything does, I'll keep you up to date here. So, all that being said, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.